The Philippines is hot. We can all feel it. It's a part of our everyday lives and it's become a problem. A growing one that'll soon spiral out of control. This graph shows the steadily rising temperatures our country has experienced over the last few decades. But this is just a chart, and charts can only show us the numbers, not the people who are affected. So, we went around Tacloban City asking civilians and professionals the same question.
Mahagaw baso, mapasok.
Sakto lang.
Oo.
Yeah.
Oo, mapasok.
Yes.
Oo, mapaso talaga kay kita nagduduble ko kay itak pakabuhi kuan man. Pang-scrap ba?
Opo.
Ora nga lugar ita akong gintaraan niya na. Pagulpot ko pala mo to baga minamukanit baga palami kay baga malain na ulo. Kapaso.
This pattern of rising temperatures can be seen through the global average temperature over time. This phenomenon is called global warming. As the temperature continues to soar, the heat outside continues to be a nuisance to almost everyone in the Philippines. It has always been a part of our daily lives and struggles. But how exactly does it affect us? To better understand the relationship between the heat and our health, we interviewed several doctors. Has the heat outside ever frustrated you a bit too much?
The heat in the environment right now is actually not just on me but on a lot of people, a lot of my patients. It's taking a toll on their health actually. Every time the weather changes, the temperature changes, it makes asthmatic children cough more, and then from the allergic attack it becomes an asthmatic attack, and then eventually it could lead to pneumonia, it could lead to more problems, they get to be admitted, and it has to it gives a lot of burden on the parents in terms of economics, no? Because they have to spend a lot buying all these medicines, and then it also burdens them in a way that parents would have to leave from work and then attend to their sick children, no? So these are the burdens of heat.
There's a spectrum from heat stress to heat exhaustion to heat stroke. Do we feel uncomfortable? You feel dizzy? All of these are part of heat stress. No? Heat stroke, okay? It's a sudden rise in your temperature within 10 to 15 minutes. So what happens is it causes inflammation in your brain. It may elevate your blood pressure to such an extent that you may have ruptures of blood vessels in your brain and have bleeding. So causing not just heat stroke, but intracerebral hemorrhages as well.
It's clear that prolonged exposure to the heat outside can negatively affect our health and cause a multitude of complications. This leaves us the question. This is Dr. Jonathan Moses C. Hadlok. He's an internist subspecializing in cardiology, the founding chair and current advisor for the Philippine College of Physicians Climate Change Committee and the Climate Reality Leader.
Well, climate change is now the number one or the biggest health threat of the century. That's according to Lancet Commission. And in fact, it was also declared as a medical emergency, again by Lancet Commission. And not only that, because of the consequences of the climate crisis with the cost of carbon, it is also now considered as the biggest threat to the economy, which is globally. And so the problem with the climate crisis is global. And it is systemic, meaning it does not only affect one country or two countries, it is a global problem since we're talking about the troposphere, which is shared by all countries. It's actually the heat that's trapped in the troposphere, the atmosphere, that affects the climate system. So climate change is a byproduct of global warming.
Let's go over this. Human pollution causes the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect causes the rising temperatures. The rising temperatures is called global warming. Global warming causes climate change, and climate change is catastrophic. So, really, the increasing heat outside is only indicative of a larger problem. A problem that causes typhoons, droughts, famines, and suffering. A problem that affects all of us in every corner of the world. And a problem we need to solve. Enter the Paris Accord.
And what have been a landmark for accomplishment for this Convention of Parties was the 2015 Paris Agreement, if you're familiar with that. So in this Paris Agreement, almost 185 nations committed to reduce their carbon emissions. So the approach is going to be global, and then with the commitment of the nations, it will be implemented nationally through their sovereignty, and then of course regionally, and then domestic individuals by families. So that's how it is approached. So even the family which is small also can contribute to the solutions of the climate crisis. So no effort is so small when done to curb the climate crisis. Now, signing the Paris Agreement, that's 2015, it's entirely different from implementing it in every country. That's why I said that there is sovereignty. Because when you commit to the Paris Agreement, you are responsible on implementing it in your countries. And no other country can push you to that because it's sovereignty. So the problem now is, for the 162 million tons of carbon spewed into the air each day, 40% comes from China and US. And we are just only around 0.7% emitter to that 162 million. So we are not a major emitter or polluter, but we are receiving the brunt of the climate crisis. So there's actually injustice. It's only about 8 years to 2030. And if we are not going to radically shift to cleaner renewable energy, if we're not going to stop the 162 million tons of man-made global warming pollution to be spewed into the atmosphere, then we are going to hit 1.5 by 2030. And when we hit 1.5 by 2030, more experts said that it's going to be a runaway issue, which means if the climate crisis is a runaway issue, even no matter how you intervene after 1.5, there's not much you can do. And so we have this golden period of 8 years from today to 2030 to do something before the climate crisis becomes irreversible.
A 2-degree increase in temperature sounds negligible, doesn't it? The temperature you feel every day can vary by the tens of degrees. So, why is a 2-degree increase in average global temperatures considered so catastrophic? Well, really, it's a matter of perspective. It would take a massive amount of energy to heat up the Earth by 2 degrees. To put that into scale, the energy is enough power to keep 2 LED light bulbs lit from the beginning of the universe to now. This massive amount of energy will not be distributed evenly across the Earth, and the places of concentration are where natural disasters such as super typhoons, heat waves, melting glaciers, and droughts will occur. Climate change is difficult to talk about. The problem feels so far away both in time and in space. And as a single individual, what can you really do? Instead of talking about climate change as one big hopeless puzzle, we can instead analyze it piece by piece. So look around you, be aware, be involved, be passionate, be anxious, and be curious, with one simple question at a time. So why is it so hot outside?
Kaya ano mapaso?
Apo.
Kaya masirak.
So,